Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Tango Bravo, project lead for OpenVino.org, and we welcome you to our submission to the Base Batches Hackathon. We're super excited to showcase our work, which is focused on our new governance layer for OpenVino, which we call OpenVinoDAO. Now, let me give you a brief bird's eye view of OpenVino so that you can better understand the challenges that we have addressed with OpenVinoDAO in the hackathon. So what is OpenVino? OpenVino is our solution for tokenization, transparency, and traceability for the wine industry. Our main DApp, OpenVino.exchange, has been live exclusively on Base mainnet since last August, and the OpenVino service consists of three components: tokenization, where we empower wineries to mint tokens for their wines, ERC20 tokens on Base. You can go to openvino.exchange to see how that works. Transparency is where wineries can use what we call biodigital certification to self-attest the qualities of their wine. For example, where the grapes in the wine are made, if it's organic, if it's biodynamic, carbon neutral, apt for vegans, those kinds of things. And traceability is where we connect wine producers with wine drinkers. We call this "you drink it, you own it." So OpenVino.exchange is our principal DApp, and this has a backend DEX, which we call viniswap.openvino.org, which is based on a modified fork of Uniswap v2, where we've incorporated some changes. So for every transaction on the DEX, there's a 1% swap fee. 0.5% goes to the liquidity providers, and 0.5% is revenue that is generated for OpenVinoDAO, which eventually gets paid out to the DAO token holders as a sort of dividend. This way, we can offer OpenVino services, tokenization, transparency, and traceability, free to wineries. The only requirement that we have for wineries is that they are staking 2,500 OpenVinoDAO tokens in their DAO wallet. With biodigital certification, we combine a bounty mechanism that we work with Kledos to guarantee the legitimacy of what wineries claim about their wines. And with You Drink It, You Own It, wine consumers can scan a unique QR code on the bottle where we ask them some personal information to take a photo or a selfie and answer questions about their drinking experience. And in exchange for this information, we mint an NFT. So think of a POAP token for wine drinkers. And now we can give them one token of OpenVinoDAO. So you drink it, you own it. And this has a nominal value of 1 USDC. So that's OpenVino. And for the hackathon, we developed the OpenVinoDAO governance layer. Essentially, we are minting 10 million OpenVinoDAO tokens called OVI, and we're distributing these 2.5 million tokens to founders, 2.5 million tokens for a DevOps wallet to subsidize OpenVino operations, 2.5 million tokens to offer to investors, and 2.5 million tokens in what we call an attractor wallet, which is essentially a marketing fund to subsidize early adopters. These early adopters include the first 300 or so wineries, the first 700,000 to 800,000 You Drink It, You Own It scans, and partners that are helping with onboarding these initial wineries. So once this attractor wallet is exhausted or depleted, wineries after that will have to purchase 2,500 OV tokens, and also they will be the ones in charge of subsidizing the tokens that are given to drinkers, because the wineries are those who are receiving the personal information from their consumers. And so it's really a no-brainer for them because it's a marketing expense getting this personal information. Now, we've defined what we call the liquidity event, which is essentially when we fund the OpenVinoDAO token, the OV token liquidity pool, so that people can now sell their tokens and cash out if they want to. This liquidity event we've defined will occur when one of two things happen. Either we've sold the 2.5 million investor tokens, in which case we're fully funded for growth, or we've exhausted the attractor wallet, which means that we have a large volume of wineries and drinkers, and so the platform is working. So we will fund the liquidity pool on ViniSwap, on base mainnet, enabling people to cash out their tokens and allowing new wineries to join. But the second challenge that we addressed in the hackathon was, how can we maintain a fairly stable price of the OV token while also allowing it to float and be dynamic? And this is important because the valuation of the OV token determines the cost barrier for new wineries to join, 2,500 more or less. And it also defines the implicit rebate that a consumer, when they scan the label, is receiving in exchange for their feedback. So for example, if the price of the OV token gets too high, this could distort the underlying value of the wine, which is basically what their wine tokens are backed by. And so to solve this challenge, we created a set of smart contracts that allow for a 2-to-1 token split. Now, we could just mint more OV tokens to solve this inflationary problem, but that would have the detrimental effect of diluting our investors, and we don't want to do that. So we created a smart contract that we can do a 2-to-1 token split, and this token split using a set of oracles basically occurs when two things happen. One, the price of the OV token is sustained at a certain threshold, like $2 or 2 USDC per token for a period of time, let's say 30 days. And the size of the OV liquidity pool is sufficiently funded. So when those two conditions happen, the split function is activated, and now the OpenVinoDAO proposal to do the split can take place. People vote, and we have a 2-to-1 split. The beauty of how this works is we don't need to mint more OV tokens. The split occurs in a controlled and understood moment. The DAO has the ultimate decision whether to split or not. And we don't have to pay gas fees to distribute all these tokens into DAO token holder wallets. But the biggest challenge that we faced and we're solving in this hackathon is how to make the DAO and our dApps fully decentralized. Now, today's DAOs and dApps are faced with two big challenges for decentralization. The underlying centralization of infrastructure and the management of secrets. So let me illustrate this with the case of OpenVino. Currently, our dApp, OpenVino Exchange, is running, our front end is running on a DigitalOcean cloud instance. We rely on endpoints from Infura for Web3 for IPFS, and we have a Postgres database that we do some things. So we've got a web server. So we've got some of these centralized components. But the bigger challenge is that our developers are the ones who have the root passwords, the API keys, the database credentials, the TLS certificates. And so at the end of the day, who manages those is really who's the owner of the DAO or the platform. So how can we build a truly decentralized DAO? The way that we've resolved this is by building what we call a NetraBrick. This is a physical Web3 node, an appliance that incorporates a base mainnet execution and consensus layer, IPFS node, DNS server, and a whole bunch of other things, including a ZK Sync custom chain node for recording IoT and other types of data that wineries are producing. We're using DApp node as one of the main components for managing these different Web3 components. The NetraBrick itself is essentially a NUC, like a small server with some antennas for IoT data. And right now we have the base packages for Sepolia because before we go live with investor money, we want to do some proper audits of our smart contracts. But who's going to run these NetraBricks? The answer is the wineries. You see, if wineries are collecting IoT data and they have cameras and they're doing work logs and all these other things, they already need to have some sort of on-premise device that's acting as a relay and is connecting them to the rest of the platform. So why not make this device a full-blown Web3 appliance? This makes the winery self-sufficient. It adds a layer of security services that they probably are deficient in already, and it removes our dependency on centralized cloud providers. And basically, we aggregate the winery's bandwidth, compute, and storage capacity with this collection of NetraBricks. Moreover, and this is key, the ZK Sync custom chain that's running on the NetraBricks, which we call OVSync, uses the OpenVinoDAO token, the OV token, as its base token instead of ETH. So we're not paying for gas fees for writing sensor data on chain. And this is how we think we can solve the decentralized infrastructure problem. Now for secrets management, the second problem of decentralization, we are using a package called OpenVinoDAO. And OpenVinoDAO is an open source fork of the popular HashiCorp Vault secrets manager. Basically, OpenVinoDAO provides PKI infrastructure for issuing TLS certificates, so we're not depending on Let's Encrypt or some other provider. And OpenVinoDAO manages everything from SSH keys, database credentials, API keys, and other secrets that would normally be encoded in .m files and in private keys that end up stored all over the place. But the cool part is that using OpenVinoDAO, we can connect this to the DAO, and OpenVinoDAO is running on the NetraBricks. And it's the DAO who can decide when a person or an agent, a process, can have access to these keys using a sign-in with Ethereum or verifiable credentials. So if one of the administrators, and these can be individuals or programmatic agents, are compromised in any way, the DAO can immediately revoke access to key infrastructure components. This is how we build a truly decentralized, real-world solution. OpenVinoDAO is owned by the wineries, it's owned by the consumers, it's owned by the creators, and the infrastructure itself is decentralized and secrets are fully managed by the DAO. So in conclusion, for the base batches hackathon, we built the OpenVinoDAO governance layer, including a incentive for investors, a mechanism for doing splits, and most importantly, a mechanism for decentralizing both the infrastructure and the secrets. This is how we believe we can achieve true decentralization, and it's built on Base. A final note, I'd like to take a moment to thank the organizers of the hackathon and suggest that if we are so fortunate as to win a prize, please don't give us the money, invest it in OpenVinoDAO, and that way we can repay your generosity multiple times over in the future. So thank you again for your tremendous effort and for making the world a better place. And we look forward to seeing how OpenVino can grow with your support. Salud.